Of issues in the news, where we discuss the important events that would have taken place in Guyana over the past week or so, and as is a norm, we have a packed agenda of issues to discuss. I know I've seen comments to say that my introduction is too long, so I will cut the introduction and get straight into the program. So I want to welcome all of you who are joining us on Facebook Live right across Guyana, the Caribbean, North America, Europe, Asia, and as far as Australia. Welcome to another program of Issues in the News. I want you to press the share button on your phone, share this program wide and far so that all of your friends, all of your followers can join us in tonight's discussion. Press the share button on your phone, share it on your computer. If you're looking at the program on an iPad or on a tablet, share the program so that all your friends and followers can join us in tonight's discussion. Also use the comment section to express your views, pose questions, raise any issues that you would like us to discuss in this program or in programs to come. So, as I said, we have a packed agenda of issues to discuss. So let's begin. We all know, first of all, permit me to apologize. Last week, I was traveling. I led Guyana's delegation at a Caribbean Financial Action Task Force conference at the Hyatt Regency in Trinidad and Tobago. And we had a program that was taped that was supposed to have been shown instead of this live program, but due to technical difficulties, my operator was unable to retrieve the video to upload it so that you would have seen it live. And I see that as a result of me putting up a message that the program will be postponed or will not be aired, all types of comments were generated. People have a lot of idle time on their hands, and they really believe that they are so important that I will take them that seriously and for some reason postpone this program. As I said, it was due to circumstances beyond my control. I was not in the country, and the plan which I put in train did not materialize as I anticipated. So, His Excellency President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali has announced September the 1st as the date for elections. This announcement obviously is in line with the relevant constitutional provisions, and it is in due compliance with the law. Elections are held every 5 years under the Constitution. And the period, the 5 years measured between the first sitting of the Parliament after the last elections. So the first sitting of the Parliament after the 2020 elections took place, I believe, on the 28th of August. So 5 years after that, Parliament automatically dissolves unless the President dissolves it earlier. And a date for election must be fixed latest 90 days after the dissolution of Parliament. So when you work those time frames in, you will see that the President acted within the constitutional permutations. The President, obviously, as he is required to do, consulted GCOM and was assured by GCOM of its readiness for elections. And equipped with that information, the President made the announcement. Now, we have put amendments in place to ensure that GCOM must be ready at reasonable notice for an elections, because we learned from the bitter experience of the APNU AFC of them playing a cat and mouse game with GCOM in relation to the elections. You had President David Granger, when pressure was placed upon him nationally and internationally to hold an elections after the no confidence motion was passed, collapsing his government. His excuse for not holding the elections was that GCOM was not ready. Of course, GCOM danced to that tune, and GCOM was saying that they are not ready either. Why? Because sitting as the chairman of GCOM was the unilaterally appointed James Patterson, unconstitutionally appointed, as the CCJ found, by President Granger. He chose Patterson by himself when the Constitution says that he must choose one from 6 names provided to him by the President, by the Leader of the Opposition, sorry. He violated that formula and chose one of his own liking. So he was able to control, direct, and dictate to that one. So he told that one to say that the electoral machinery is not ready, and therefore he's allowed to squat illegally in government and delay the calling of an elections, even though Parliament had dissolved by virtue of the passage of the no confidence motion. Because if the government collapses by virtue of that no confidence motion, Parliament automatically is dissolved by operation of law and common sense, if you wish. Granger and the APNU AFC rejected all of that and remained in office from December 2018 all the way to August 2020 illegally. That is what we must remind viewers of. That is the type of political and constitutional transgressions that took place in this country. And yet, you hear these shameless people speaking in the Parliament yesterday, last night, telling you how they were robbed at the 2020 elections, that the PPP rigged the elections. These people have no semblance of shame. None. No contrition, no repentance, nothing at all. And I invite you to look at my presentation, the closing address that I made to the Parliament last night, to get what I said in relation to their conduct. I don't want to repeat it here. So again, the authoritarian, undemocratic actions are unfolding as we get closer to the elections. Clearly they are not ready. As I said yesterday in the Parliament, there is a mass exodus from both the Alliance for Change and the PNC in particular. Mass exodus. And it will accelerate even more as we get closer to the elections. So last night you had Geeta Chandan announcing not only her withdrawal from the coalition, but her embrace of President Ali for his second term, and by extension the People's Progressive Party. And that has been happening for the past few years. One by one, it started as a trickle, and now it is snowballing, and it will snowball even faster as we get closer to the elections. I see the regional chairman of Region 7, an AFC executive member. He also tendered his resignation and endorses President Ali's second term in office and embraces the PPP again. So as I said, this will continue. So APNU, AFC are in master confusion. We don't know whether they are coalescing as yet. We know that APNU has accepted WPA as part of the coalition. I don't know when they left. WPA comprises of 4 persons. 4 persons. And I believe that's the membership. The four old men who are racist to the bones. And to their credit, they do nothing to hide it. So they are 4 old racist men. And to their credit, they do nothing to hide it. Nobody would want to feel, nobody sensible would want to be seen in any type of political coalition with a bunch like that. No sensible political grouping will do that. PNC, by doing that, is demonstrating to you that it is not a sensible political unit. I can't put it simpler than that. And that's my reading of the events. And therefore, intelligent people who are in the PNC can't be comfortable with this. And those who are brave enough are leaving and are embracing the PPP. And that is what you're seeing there. The PPP is not quite apart from the fact that they see that we have a vision for Guyana and that we are unfolding an agenda that is transforming Guyana, and they are part of that transformation, and they would like to be closer to that transformation. So they are coming on board with us, and we welcome that, and we will continue to welcome more on board. There is a repellent that is intrinsic to the PNC that is repelling them too. And when you embrace that unit called the WPA and people of that ilk and those propensities, then you are repelling decent people. And that is what is happening. Coupled with the fact that persons are seeing clearly that they have no future in the PNC, that the PNC has no track record that they can defend, that the PNC doesn't have a plan to develop the country. All these things are plain and obvious. And we live in a very educated world. These things, people are recognizing them quicker than 10 years ago. And therefore, people are making decisions based on the realities around them. Of course, you will have a hardcore of a couple thousand that will always be there. And that is what will remain. That is what will unfortunately remain. So, they continue to demonstrate their unwillingness to be democratic. And there's another source of another source that is repelling law-abiding citizens from them, and citizens who are democratically minded. And you see it being unfolding at GCOM. So their three commissioners have obviously hatched a strategy to obstruct and to be obstructive, because they don't wish to go to the elections. And that must have been the direction given to them by their political directorate. On the one hand, Norton is puffing his chest and is saying that he's ready for the elections. But on the other hand, he has his cohorts at GCOM carrying out his directions to obstruct the process as far as possible, to frustrate the process as far as possible, with the objective of possibly delaying the elections. And that is what is unfolding at GCOM. It is nothing new, and the Guyana's electorate are well accustomed to these tricks and artifices, because we saw it for a protracted period during the year 2020, both before the March elections and after, 5 months after the March elections, where the commission itself, the 3 members, attempted to rig from inside. When they attempted to block the recount, when they were protecting Lowenfield as he attempted to pervert the results, as they attempted to protect Mingo when he attempted to pervert the results. And they did everything within their powers to advance that fraudulent design to pervert the results of those elections. You are well aware of all those strategies, and you are seeing it unfolding again. So it is nothing new to them, the 3 commissioners, neither is it new to the Guyanese electorate. So Charles Corbin, Vincent Alexander, and Desmond Trotman are engaging in the regular form of conduct. They are attending the meetings and then they are walking out to make it inchoate. They are denying the meeting of a quorum. Fortunately, the law is a great institution, and the Constitution itself provides that when they unreasonably withhold their presence to a meeting or from a meeting, when they absent from the meeting or withdraws from the meeting without just cause, and that just cause is determined, or what constitutes just cause is determined by the chairman, the meeting shall stand adjourned to a day not later than 2 calendar days. So they walk out today, the meeting stands automatically adjourned to a day not later than 2 calendar days. So that meeting that they walk out from today is automatically adjourned to not a date Thursday, a date not later than 2 calendar days. It can happen tomorrow or it can happen Thursday. And at the same time and place, the meeting will take place at the same time and place, and notice of such adjournment shall be given to the absent members. And if at the adjourned meeting a quorum is not present, the members then present, being not less than 4 including the chairman, shall be deemed to constitute a quorum, and any decision made at that or at any such meeting shall be in law valid and binding. And that, my friends, is expressly set out at Article 226, 5 of the Constitution of the Republic of Guyana. Article 226, 5 sets out what constitutes a quorum and what happens when a quorum is unreasonably withheld by members of the meeting. So you cannot hold the Elections Commission at ransom. The framers of our Constitution contemplated rogue elements like these 3 banding together in a conspiracy to obstruct and derail democracy. And they have contemplated and provided for an alternative to the quorum. They have provided an alternative mechanism. So that is what will have to be activated. And we activated it many times during the 2020 election process and even before the elections, because this was their behavior. This was their behavior. So that is what you want. It is all part of their undemocratic culture. Now, and these are the ones who want to persuade you that they are the champions of democracy, that they want biometrics, and the least opportunity they get, they will thief all the ballots and run away with the ballot boxes. These electoral miscreants. But they want to lecture to the country about democracy. They have a problem with the list. As I said in the parliament yesterday, they won the elections on that 2015 list. They were so in love with the list that they went to the parliament and passed a law to keep the validity of the list alive so that they can use it for our local government elections. And they used it for the 2016 local government elections. Then they used it back for the 2018 local government elections. And now that list is the most terrible thing in the world. These pack of hypocrites. And significantly, twice they have gone to court. One in 2019, I took them to court when they were going to do the house-to-house registration and scrap the existing database and deregister everybody who were on the list. I said, you can't do that. And I went to court and we got an order from the Chief Justice. We got a written judgment that explains the Constitution. The very thing that we were saying, the very submissions I made were upheld by the Chief Justice. They wanted to knock off everybody name off the list who in America and all over the place. And our Constitution says you can't do that. Because you don't have to necessarily be resident in Guyana to be voting. Residency is not a qualification to be registered, nor is it a qualification to vote. I've been saying this for years and they can't get it. They can't get it no matter how much time I explained. So they lost that case. They never appealed the decision. They filed it back again. They filed it again. They filed the ask the court to determine the same thing. They filed it in the name of Carol Joseph. On the 3rd of April this year, 2025, again the Chief Justice threw out the case, citing largely the reasons she had given in the previous ruling. When the Chief Justice handed down her decision, Mr. Norton came out with a statement very critical of the Chief Justice, accused the Chief Justice of all sorts of things. Vincent Alexander spoke to the press and said that the Chief Justice's decision does not make sense. Very disrespectful language. Not that it is wrong, because I think that you can say that the judge is wrong. I have said, and I will say now, just now in this program, what I feel about how a judge rules. And I have done that before. But to say that the decision doesn't make sense is a different matter. But they said all of that. And however, they have not lodged an appeal against the decision. The same thing they did in 2019. They had great problems with the Chief Justice ruling in the case filed by me then in the name of Christopher Ram. Again, the Chief Justice has ruled against them. They have grave problems. They run around all over the place, cussing the Chief Justice, quarreling about the decision, but they have not filed an appeal. This is the incompetence and the uselessness that I normally speak about. So they will run and cry for another 5 years about this ruling, but they have not filed an appeal. The time for filing the appeal would have been 6 weeks after the decision was handed down. The decision was handed down on April the 3rd. We are now in the month of June. 6 weeks have long expired by any method of calculations. And you know that they don't know to count. So if they try to add and minus that, they will get it wrong. But you can check it by yourself. And you will see that 6 weeks would have long expired. And they have filed no appeal. The Chief Justice, as part of her order, said that the parties must agree to costs. And if we don't agree by the 30th of April on costs, then costs will have to be assessed by the court. Well, I attempt to get them to agree to costs. I wrote them a letter and I asked for $3 million in cost. The lawyer, Dexter Todd, responded to the letter, acknowledging receipt of the letter, but no offer was made. So there is no agreement. Now we will ask the court to assess the cost, and it will be far more than $3 million. That process will begin before the end of this week. Now, Azuddin Mohammed is making the news. He has declared himself presidential candidate, I think, and has expressed his intention to contest the upcoming elections. Well, once he has put that signal out, I am a competitor, and therefore he will now actively receive attention on this program from a political perspective. I was speaking about him as Attorney General vis-a-vis a citizen before, but now he's a politician. So we can speak now politically. And you know, I am the legal advisor to the President as the Attorney General. So I saw him making a very clumsy attempt to implicate His Excellency the President in some type of wrongdoing by exposing some WhatsApp communications between him and the President. Well, if a president and you have that type of confidential relationship and you see it fit to breach the confidence of a president of a country, right away to right-thinking members of a society, that by itself sends a message of what type of character you're dealing with. But that aside, in that message, he utters the same fraudulent invoice, and he is speaking about the same fraudulent transactions. The same invoice of 76,000 US that has demonstrably been established by the US authorities to be false. He intends to dupe the president. He attempted to dupe the president into his fraudulent design. Obviously, it did not work and it will not work. But this gentleman is doing a spectacular job in digging his own grave. And I am sure, well, I don't know what his lawyers are advising him, but he can continue to travel this road and we will see where he ends up. But this is not the end. This is not the end. And what is striking about this entire situation is that this gentleman is the cause of everything. It started with him. And everything that has emerged came from him. It is as if this man is in a... Anyway, I think I said enough for the time being on that matter. Let me move on. So I have made a list of the persons, and I'm sure I don't have all of them here, the persons who have constituted the bulk of the hemorrhage from the PNC, AFC to the PPP. I have a few names here: Geeta Chandan, Richard Van West Charles, Daniel Siram, Samuel Sandy, David Daniels. I think Selwyn Peters was once a supporter. He is now with us. Asha Kisoon from a small party. Lennox Schumann, another party leader. Shazam Ali, another party leader. Tandy McAllister, a former youth leader of the PNC. Patricia Chase Green joined with us during the local government elections. That's quite an impressive list. Quite an impressive list. And as I said, the bleeding will continue and will accelerate as we get closer to the elections. So I saw the AFC in their last press conference make some extraordinary statements. One of them being that they are committed to renegotiate the 2016 profit sharing agreement with ExxonMobil. So after 5 years, and we are 3 months before an election, the AFC now discovers or now decides that they will announce that they are prepared to renegotiate the 2016 agreement. Now, Raphael Trotman, a leader of the Alliance for Change and a former leader of the Alliance for Change, he's the one who signed the agreement in the first place. He's the one who signed. So now that the election is coming around and Kaiser News is hammering them and is hammering everybody in the oil and gas sector, they now want to tell the electorate that they are prepared to renegotiate. They are the ones who put us here in the first place. They are the ones who put us here in the first place. What will Trotman say, or what will they say were the reasons that Trotman signed the agreement? Was he under duress? Was he under some misapprehension? Was there fraud perpetrated? Is it not his signature? Did he not sign it free and voluntarily? I don't know. What will he say? The people have said already that they are not prepared to renegotiate. They have a good deal. But it's election season. They say it's a silly season. So promises galore taking place. So Patterson will now apparently sit at one end of the table and renegotiate with Nigel Hughes on the other end of the table, because he's appearing and acting for ExxonMobil. So Patterson will be negotiating with Nigel Hughes for a new PSA. Only 2 weeks ago, we got confirmation from Andrew Pollard, a member of Hughes Fields and Stobie, that Hughes Fields and Stobie continues to be the law firm representing ExxonMobil. Nigel Hughes, I believe, at the very press conference, reiterate the fact that he will not be speaking on oil and gas as a politician. He assigned that role to Vincent Adams and David Patterson. So as a politician, he's not going to speak. But obviously he's a lawyer. He is the lawyer. His firm is the lawyer. So when the negotiations begin, he will take off his politician cap. So he maintains his position. He's not speaking about oil and the sector as a politician. And then he goes over and he speaks as their lawyers, as part of their legal team. And therefore, Patterson will be negotiating with Nigel Hughes for a new PSA. These people expect you to take them seriously. They expect you to take them seriously. I see Vincent Adams wrote a letter in the newspaper challenging me to debate. What am I going to debate Vincent Adams? I was inclined to do so before, before the date was announced for elections. Now I have a different focus. And he wants a platform. And he's hoping that I will provide him with a platform. But I've already written at length on the oil spill bill. I did a 1 hour sit down on NCN on that bill. That 1 hour interview is on my Facebook page. There is nothing more I can say to dispel the magnitude of ignorance that has infected the minds of persons like Vincent Adams. I said in that interview that Vincent Adams and his grouping, who have a problem with the bill, are the recipient of tertiary education. But in their output, there is no evidence of that. Because what they are interpreting is simple language. So I heard them say that, and they continue to peddle this, that this bill is intended to overturn Justice Sandil Kissoon's decision. And I have said repeatedly that the bill has nothing to do with Sandil Kissoon's decision. I said an appeal has been filed, and that will take care of Sandil Kissoon's decision. The appeal will do it, not the legislation. In fact, the legislation the bill kept the exact financial provisions which Sandil Kissoon ruled on. The same financial provisions are in the Environmental Protection Act. This bill doesn't change that. It adopts it. It adopts it. And these people are reading it to say that the bill changed that. I don't have the energy or the inclination to descend to such level to teach people who can't understand clear English. I don't have the time, I'm sorry. So I heard them say that I am attacking the judge. I said that the decision of the judge is wrong. And we have filed an appeal, and hopefully we will demonstrate that the decision is wrong. At the Court of Appeal, they tried to shut me out. They tried to prevent me from joining the appeal because I was not sued in the High Court case. I didn't participate in the decision with Sandil Kissoon. The Attorney General was not named. Imagine they want to shut down the industry without naming the government as a party to the proceedings. And when I go to the Court of Appeal, where the appeal is, because Exxon files an appeal, and I said I want to be heard, I am an interested party. The Court of Appeal told me no. And I had to go all the way to the CCJ. And I said to the CCJ, these people are interpreting a contract of which I am a party. The government of Guyana is a party to the contract. We are in charge of the state. This is an industry that has great financial value to the state. This industry is producing a revenue stream that has serious budgetary impact. And we are the government. And we are not going to be heard. And the CCJ said, of course you must be heard. Of course you must be heard. And that is how I became part of the case. And that is where we will deal with Justice Kissoon's decision. This bill has nothing to do with Justice Kissoon's decision. Absolutely nothing. This bill deals with oil spill. Kissoon didn't speak about oil spill. He interpreted the financial provisions and the type of assurance that is required. In relation to that, This bill says that whatever is provided by the EPA shall continue to remain in force. I can't make it simpler than that, my friends. Honestly, I can't. And I don't have the inclination or the energy to. Not for people like Vincent Adams. So, that is what I will say to him. And I saw in the newspaper a very shocking statement emanating from an organization called the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. And it's a statement on Guyana's oil pollution prevention, preparedness, response and responsibility bill. Now this is an organization apparently of Caribbean lawyers, Commonwealth lawyers, sorry. I know many members of this organization, and I called them and I asked them if they were consulted in relation to the preparation and issuance of a statement on Guyana, and they said no. The membership of this organization is unaware that a statement was issued. They were not consulted at all. But this statement invites the president of a country to withhold his assent from a bill passed by the parliament of the country. That you are asked, this organization is asking the president not to obey the will of his nation's sovereign parliament. I don't know if this grouping of persons, whoever they are, that is responsible for this statement, understand the implications of what they are inviting the head of an executive to do. They are inviting the head of an executive to disobey and reject the will of his parliament. And these are not Guyanese. This is a strange organization, an alien force, an alien organization. You have separation of powers principles that are involved here. It is not that a president cannot withhold his assent, but the president must be given good reasons. And the president must also give reasons why, in writing, under our constitution, why he's withholding his assent. It's an extraordinary power. And they have not engaged the Parliament of Guyana or the government of Guyana at all in this matter. They are claiming to act in the interest of democracy, they say. They say that they are acting as part of the democratic process, consistent with international standards. But in so acting, they have not seen it fit to grant the most basic right of it all, natural justice. They are not giving the government natural justice. They are not offering the parliament that passed this law or the National Assembly that passed this bill. They are not offering the assembly an opportunity to be heard. They have concluded that this bill is bad. I don't know who gave them the mandate to comment on our bills. They are telling the elected representatives of Guyana, elected by the people, that the bill is bad. Sovereignty rests with the people in Guyana. They are telling the people of Guyana and the people's elected representatives that the bill is bad. And how did they arrive at that conclusion? They never offered the government, the elected representatives, or the government of the day an opportunity to engage. Let us hear your side. That basic tenet of fairness, of democracy, of the rule of law, of natural justice was not invoked at all. And they got a narrative, I don't know who fed them this, that there was no consultation, that the bill is unconstitutional, that the bill will be harmful for the environment. How they arrive at these things? Whom did they consult? Which provision of the Guyana Constitution will this violate? And do they know that if a law violates the Constitution, we have a mechanism to correct it? If the mechanism is not for the president to withhold his assent, the judiciary will review the law and test it against the Constitution. And if it is found in conflict with the Constitution, then the court will pronounce that it is unconstitutional. This alien body is lecturing to us that we are passing unconstitutional law here. And they have not given us a hearing. One would have expected that they would have written to us and said, these are concerns raised with us. First of all, I would have asked them, what is your mandate? But let us assume that they have a mandate. At least we would have been able to answer. Nobody, they issue public international statement. And they said also, they bought the same propaganda that is being circulated in Guyana. They said that the bill was intended to overturn a judicial decision. The same unreserved ignorance that is being peddled here, they have absorbed it there. So this body, I don't know with whom they are speaking. And I don't think that they read the bill. Because nowhere in the bill is there any implication or even reference to anything that can reasonably lend to an interpretation that this bill has anything to do with Sandil Kisu's ruling, Justice Kisu's ruling. Nothing in the bill has anything to do with Kisu's ruling, Justice Kisu's ruling. But so I am convinced that this organization did not read the bill. Somebody asked them, prepared a statement and gave it to them. And I don't know their process. I don't want to be pejorative. But this is highly unusual conduct on the part of a grouping of professionals or a grouping of supposed professionals. This is not usual conduct at all. And as Attorney General, I thought that I would express my view because I was shocked when I read. And I called the organization and spoke with the president to confirm that the statement was issued. And he said, yes, they issued the statement, but they didn't consult. They obviously didn't consult with us. They didn't give us an opportunity to respond to whatever it is their misgivings are. They didn't consult with their own membership. So I don't know what is their decision-making process. But They should not be speaking or lecturing on democracy and on good governance, because good governance would have demanded that the government of Guyana be heard before these adverse public comments were made against the state of Guyana. Good governance and democracy would have also dictated that the sovereign parliament of Guyana be heard before its processes and its product is being impugned in this way by an organization that seemed to be from the Commonwealth. I think that this is highly unfortunate. My operator is signaling to me that we have come to program time. I believe that I have exhausted many or most of the issues that I want to speak to you about. I want to thank you very much for spending the past hour with me. I think, yes, I've covered many of the important issues. I will be with you next week. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the rest of the evening. May God bless you, and I will see you next week, Tuesday. Thank you very much. Take care.